So, Mr. Miller and I are working on a way to be able to do math totally digitally and without any paper anymore. So, this is going to be a video on how to basically get an assignment from Google Classroom, do the work on it on the Chromebook, and then submit it to Mr. Miller for feedback. So, what I've got is I've got this assignment from Mr. Miller, the stylist exercise. And as it sits right now, there's no way for me to write on it. But if I click, oops, I don't know why I clicked out of that. If I click the print button up here, you'll notice that a new tab opens and I get a picture of a pen in the top right. And so if I click that pen, I can now write on this with my finger or a stylus or whatever means I want. And so I'm actually going to choose the stylus, and it says to put my name in blue. And I want to be cautious about not picking one of these down here that are very small because it makes a super thin line. And so I actually prefer to be over here, like with this size of a line or so. And there's blue. So my name is Mr. Schlegel. If I was writing with the stylus instead of my finger, I could probably make it look a little bit prettier, but that's what you get. And so now I want to go down to the next one and put my favorite food in red. But if I try to do that by just scrolling with a finger like this, you can see that it just treats my finger like a pen and it makes marks on the paper. I don't want that. So I'm going to click the undo button. That's easier than using the erase tool. And I want to be making sure that every time I try and move around, I'm doing it with two fingers. So if I touch the screen with two fingers, I can go up and down. I could also use the mouse to scroll up and down. And you'll notice I can zoom in or zoom out with the mouse, or the trackpad, I guess, or with my fingers, just like a phone. So again, I got a little blue dot there. I don't want it. I hit the undo button and it will go away. So my favorite food I'm going to put in red. And I will say that my favorite food today is pizza. So I'm going to be lazy and not do the third one. And I'm going to submit this assignment to Mr. Miller in Google Classroom, but there's a specific way we need to do that. So to do that, I need to click the download button, and I need to download it with my changes. And what I don't want to do is just start putting stuff in Google Drive and having a giant mess. And so I'm going to go to Google Drive. I'm going to create a new folder, and we'll call this Mr. Schlegel's Math Work. And so if I open that, I can save the file in here. But if you look down here at the name that they gave the file, it's like some weird, just random selection of numbers and letters. And so we're going to call this Mr. Schlegel's survey. And go ahead and save it in this file. So now, if I go to my Google Drive, I can see that I do have, and that's the end of school. Let's see, my Google Drive, where is Mr. Schlegel's math stuff? There we go. Mr. Schlegel's math work. And I have that assignment right there. So when I go to submit this in Google Classroom, what I need to do is say add or create from Google Drive, find Mr. Schlegel's math work, and it will show up in your recents. And so it will be the first file here in my recent activity. But if I don't want to do it that way, or if I lost it, I can go to my drive, go to Mr. Schlegel's math work, and select the file there to submit. And so now I have turned this into Mr. Miller. And Mr. Miller would have the opportunity to give me some feedback, and I would see his comments here. I know Mr. Miller, and he would want me to go back and fill in the answer to the third question. And so the way that I'm going to do that is I'm going to go to my drive. I'm going to open the assignment again. Maybe. One moment. So I take that back. For whatever reason, mine is not opening from Google Drive now, and I think it's because I have submitted it to Mr. Miller. But I can go ahead and open it from here in Google Classroom again. And you'll see that if I want to do number 3, I can hit the print button, and I'll get that little pen back in the top right corner. And I can go down and answer number 3. So now I've answered number 3, but Mr. Miller won't see my answer to number 3 because I have not downloaded the file again. And so what I need to do is hit the download button with your changes. And then I'm going to replace Mr. Schlegel's survey. So again, you'll see at the bottom I gave it that crazy name. We're going to click Mr. Schlegel's survey because I want to replace that existing file. I'm going to say save. It's going to ask, do you really want to replace it? I'm going to say okay. So now, if I go back to Google Drive and I hit refresh, you'll see that my new PDF is here with my answer to number 3. I don't have to resubmit it to Mr. Miller or any of that stuff. I just need to make sure that when I do more work on a paper, that I download it and I replace the existing version with the new one in my Google Drive.